2025 is the year where you're doing a complete rebrand, a full 360 on who you are so you can live your unforgettable life and up level to the version that you're meant to be. Because ladies, we are not waiting around anymore. We are not waiting for things to happen for us. We're gonna go out there and make it happen. But first off, Happy New Year's. I am so excited for this year, and I am blessing all of you ladies with health, with love, with wealth, with money, with joy, and so many celebrations. And of course, we are kicking off 2025 with this video on a complete guide of how to level up and do a complete rebrand on your life. And I have a lot to cover, so we're just gonna get right into it. As always, these are the video chapters, and at the end of every single chapter, there's going to be an action item homework for you to actually do, so you're not just sitting here watching these videos, but of course we're actually taking action. Now, I actually want to start off with an uncomfortable truth, which a lot of people might not do, especially since they're stepping into the new year, which is facing your past self. Now, I always love to take a look at my previous year and actually acknowledge the person that I was that wasn't able to achieve my goals and honestly become the version that I wish I would have become. Now, of course, when it comes to brand new years, we want to take a look at who we do want to become, our goals, our desires, our routines, and our habits. But at the same time, if we don't take a look at who we were, it's really hard to become that new version of ourselves. Now, when it comes to facing your past self, what you really want to take a look at is acknowledge who you were and the gap between who you wanted to be. And sometimes it can feel really disappointing. It can feel like we let ourselves down, but the reason why we do this is because if you've been feeling stuck for so long, we want to take a look at why were we so stuck in our past and our old selves. And a lot of this comes back to the fears, right? The fear of what if we fail, or maybe it's our environment, or maybe it's our friends and family. Maybe we're just really comfortable, because let me just tell you, first of all, in this brand new year, you can absolutely become a whole different version, reach all of the goals that you have listed down. But at the same time, if we don't identify and face the fact that we have been stuck in our old version for so long, a lot of the times we're just gonna crawl back to that old version. And I remember when I graduated college in 2018, I was so stuck in my old version because I just graduated college. I was still stuck in my hometown. I was hanging out with my same friends, and I knew if I wanted to get to this next level where I wanted to build my own business, move to Florida, find the love of my life, have friendships and relationships, and honestly just keep progressing in my life, I had to become a completely different person. But I had to face the fact that I was still stuck in my old past self. And the reason why I was so stuck in my old identity, and the reason why so many other people are stuck in their identity, is because they just believe that is who they are because they've been accustomed to the thoughts, the beliefs, and the habits for so long. So in order for me to do a complete rebrand and create this new version of myself, I really had to face my past. I have to face my old self, and I had to identify all the reasons why I was stopping myself to getting to this next level version of me. So your first action item and homework is write a list of all the reasons why you're clinging on to your old self, your past self. Like, take a look at your past year in 2024 and write down all the reasons why you weren't able to achieve your goals. It's like, if you wanted to build a brand on social media, why didn't you do that? Is it because you were still afraid of being seen, still afraid of putting yourself on camera? Maybe you really want to fall back in love with yourself, but you never went on like a solo date. Whatever that is for you, write down all the reasons why you are clinging on to your old self. Now, the second piece of doing a complete rebrand in 2025 is reframing your perspective and actually letting your old self go. I know sometimes this can feel really hard, especially if you're so comfortable in where you are at. But let me tell you, the moment that you basically cut ties of your old self, the old thoughts, beliefs, habits, actions, everything that was stopping you and holding you back, you're never going to turn back, because your new self and the life that you're going to be creating is going to be so much better than that. And when you hold on to your old and past identities, it really limits you in basically the expansion you can have as an individual. And I want you to really think about this. It's like, if you are spending the majority of your time with friends, friends, maybe it's your college friends or people that just work a normal corporate job. They're content in where they're at, but you're somebody that wants to make it big on social media, or you want to be traveling around the world. You want to do something that's completely different. If you're always hanging around the same type of people and you're clinging to that identity and that version of you, there is not going to be any form of progression. And I remember one of the hardest conversations that I had to do with myself and with somebody else that allowed me to reframe my perspective and actually let go of the old version of me was a conversation that I actually had with my dad when I was in college. This was like my senior year in college, and I was skipping so many of my classes to fly to events and attend networking events and red carpet premieres and meet these entrepreneurs. And I remember my dad was like, why are you wasting your classes, your college degree to go fly to these events? Like, he didn't understand the vision and the brand that I wanted to build on social media. And I remember I had to be so raw, so true, and I had to tell him like, hey, this like version of me that you saw like growing up who wanted to work at a fashion company and work her way up the corporate ladder, like, she's not here anymore. Like, I want to do something completely different. And let me tell you, that was a really hard conversation that I had to have, but he understood. And from that point forward, it really allowed me to flourish into who I actually wanted to be. So the most important part about the story is he really had to accept the fact that who I used to be is not who I am right now. And you also have to accept the fact that who you are now and who you're going to be is not going to be the same person as before. And to be honest, that's amazing, because as you expand in your life, you're just going to be feeling so much more better about yourself. So the second action item and homework that I want you to do is the list that you made of all the reasons why you're clinging onto your old self. I want you to burn it or rip it up and throw it away. Of course, if you're gonna burn it, do it safely, but you can also just rip it up, throw it away, and get rid of it. That's basically going to be telling yourself, telling your mind, your body, your brain that you are done with the old version of you. Now, this is where your new journey begins, and we're going to be defining your new identity. Something I really want to emphasize when it comes to creating your new identity is, yes, you can list out all of your values, your new thoughts, your beliefs, the goals, and the desires that you want, and I highly recommend doing that. But one of the big things about crafting out your new identity is writing down habits and characteristics that will keep you in that identity. Now, if you guys watched my vision board video that I posted last week on how to create a vision board that will actually manifest in 2025, I talked about how you want to put habits and actions on that routine. So it's actually going to help you get closer to your goals. Now, also with that being said, I mean, if you wrote down that you have a goal of having like a really fit and toned body, instead of maybe you working out at the same place at the same time every single day, challenge yourself, challenge your new self and your new identity to pursue and go to like workout classes, to maybe pick up a sport. Like, the entire point about creating your new identity and basically doing a complete rebrand is doing things that you wouldn't normally do. Now, one thing that I'm doing this year is actually attending workout classes, because that's something that I never really did. I was comfortable just going to my gym every single day, but I really want to expand myself. I also want to meet people in like the health and fitness industry. I want to meet friends, and I want to feel like I'm actually putting myself out there in a different sense than just like going to my gym. And I really want you to celebrate yourself when you're doing all of these small victories. One of the biggest ways that you're actually going to stay in this rebrand for the entire year is celebrate yourself when you're doing these small wins, when you are waking up every single morning, when you are making your bed, when you are heading to the gym, when you are posting on social media. Like, look at every single thing you do as a win, no matter how big, no matter how small it actually is. So action items and homework for defining and creating your new identity is make a list of 5 new characteristics and 5 goals and desires that you're going to be achieving in 2025. And I like to make those kind of in tandem, so that way the characteristics lead me to my goals and my desires. So the fourth thing I want to talk about is take taking action and actually embracing the change. Now, I started to get into that a little bit, but one of the biggest resistant blocks that people are going to have when it comes to doing a complete rebrand is actually going out and taking the action. So one thing that I always do that allows me to honestly take so much action in a short period of time, embrace the change, is not allowing my mind to overthink and even go into the place of talking myself out of doing something. So if you can close the gap between the idea and the action, meaning if you have written down on your to-do list is reach out to like 3 events that you want to speak at or something, go take that action right now. Like if you allow yourself to overthink and think about like, oh, am I qualified? Are these attempts even going to hire me? Now I have to come up with like my speech. I have to travel to these locations. It's like if you already start to overthink on the action, 9 out of 10 times you're not even ever going to take the action. So one thing about embracing this change and taking the action is once again closing the gap between the idea and the action. Don't even allow yourself to entertain those negative thoughts that aren't even helping you. And something that's really helped me when it comes to embracing this change is having somebody else kind of hold me accountable and telling them that, hey, this is who I'm going to be. These are my goals. This is my desire. This is my vision. So if you see me out of line, can you just help me and guide me to that way? Because let me tell you, it's really easy to let yourself down. It's really easy for us to be like, okay, I'll just do it tomorrow, and you'll just rather sit on the couch and watch Netflix. But if you tell somebody else that you are going to do something and it's somebody that you actually care about, you don't want to let them down, even if it has like nothing to do with them at all whatsoever. But once again, it's gonna motivate and push you to actually go out there. If you kind of do have an accountability buddy, you tell maybe, even if it's like your social media audience, that like, hey, this year I am going to launch my own product, or I'm gonna write my book, or whatever that is for you. If you tell somebody, it is much more likely that you're actually gonna follow through with it. And the last piece of embracing change and really stepping into this aligned action is having a dedicated routine that's gonna allow you to feel good, so you want to take that action. Because let me tell you, if you're waking up in the morning and you are tired and you have low energy and you just want to scroll on social media, maybe you're feeling kind of depressed, you're kind of in the blues, you don't want to do anything, right? So your action item and your homework for this chapter is create a dedicated morning routine that's going to allow you to step into your new and highest self. So for me, my morning routine, I've said it multiple times in some of my previous videos, but it has to do with meditating, journaling, and moving my body. It's like if I can get myself in a good state of mind, it is going to motivate me to actually take action that day. Now, this last part of the rebranding process for you to level up in 2025 is probably by far one of the most important ones, and it is put on your blinders and stay in your own lane. It is going to be very tempting for you to go back to your old habits, your old routine, your old version of you, and your old version of thinking. Because let me tell you, the minute that you start to even just start to romanticize your old life, like, oh, it was so much easier when I was just, sitting on my couch on social media, scrolling, not really doing much. Like, this feels hard. I want to tell you guys, when you go through this rebranding process, it is meant to feel challenging. It is meant to feel difficult. Like, it's not meant to feel something that's super easy to do. But there is something I'm going to promise you, okay? If you stay committed to this rebranded process for even a week, if you do it for a week, if you do it for 2 weeks, if you even do it for a month, you are going to be a completely different version of yourself, and you're going to look back and thank yourself for actually showing up and being consistent. Because let me tell you, the life that you're going to create from the person that you're going to become is something that's going to be so unforgettable that you would have wished you would have done it so much sooner than you actually did. But part of this process is actually putting your blinders on, is staying in your own lane and not looking at what everybody else is doing. Sometimes, and I am so guilty of this, sometimes I'll be in such a good state of mind, I'll start to scroll social media. All of a sudden I'll see something that kind of triggers me, or I'm like, oh, like I want to be there too. And then I start feeling bad about where I'm at, even though I've already made so much progress, right? And this is just like human behavior, right? Sometimes we take a look at certain things and we're like, oh, I should be there. I feel like now I'm behind. So one of my main things I'm doing this year is I'm staying in my own lane. I'm putting my blinders on. I am doing what I want to do. And when you are in this new identity, this new version of yourself, you don't need to be looking at anybody else, right? And that doesn't mean in terms of like learning, watching YouTube videos, investing into courses and mentors. Like, I will always do that, and I highly recommend always doing that. Otherwise, it's going to take you a lot longer for you to get to your goals and desires. But if you're constantly just sitting there and comparing yourself to other people, you're always going to go back to your old self and your past version. So staying in your own lane and really following through with the process is going to help you stay and do a complete full rebrand. So the homework and the action item for this video chapter is at the end of every single night before you go to bed, I want you to list out all the things that you're so proud about for yourself that day and all of the things that you could maybe improve upon. Because throughout the day, there's going to be so many things that you are doing, but when you're going to always celebrate all the things that you have done, but then always continually see where can I constantly improve, you are going to be in your own lane. You're going to be making so many big moves, and you're not going to be wondering if it's good, if it's bad, if it's right, if it's wrong, because you are only focused on you. So go out there, create the best 2025 for yourself. And if you did not watch my vision board video on how to create a vision board that actually manifests in the new year, make sure to watch it right here. I love you guys so much. And until next time, make sure that you stay unforgettable.